Yes, my name is Daryl Johnson. I'm incarcerated for a crime that I didn't commit, and my brother committed the crime, and he admitted that he committed the crime. And when I went to the district attorney's office with my lawyer to inform him that my brother admitted he committed the crime for 2 cell charges, the district attorney said he didn't care because he didn't want him, he wanted DJ. And the reason he wanted DJ, which is me, Daryl Johnson, is because I own over $1 million worth of property. And this property is a historical site where Martin Luther King once lived in it. And they've been trying to close it down in the city of Gulfport for the last 20 years. Now, I do have a background for the sale of controlled substance. I went and did my time and got out of prison and still had my property. And the police officer asked me how did I have the property when I went to prison. But my family actually took care of the property. Well, the first strike was they tried to close me down. They said I was selling beer without a permit, the city of Gulfport. Okay. And they said I was operating a business without a permit. They closed me down for an entire year until I went to trial. So when I went to trial, I proved them that I had a beer license and that I had a business permit. Okay, I won the case. Okay, when they couldn't close me down then, they came back and closed my street down that runs right in front of my property for a whole year, saying that they were going to remodel the street and put new drains down and everything. And when they put the drains down, I'm closed for a whole year because I just had got back open from them closing me down, saying I was operating a business without a permit. Well, when they did finish the streets, finally, after a whole year where nobody couldn't get in my property to my store, they didn't hook my sewage line back up to the system. And the sewage backed up into my restaurant. This is a restaurant. Sewage was backing up in the sink, and upstairs is a historical hotel. Sewage was backing up into the building, into the bathrooms. So I paid some contractors to go out and find out what it was. And they kept trying to find out until one day one of the contractors told me that the city didn't hook my sewage line back up or else they busted my pipes. When I called the city out, after the city comes out and check it, they say, we don't think we did nothing. And finally they walked off and I walked behind them. They say we made a mistake. We didn't hook his line back up. So they called the contractor back out there. His name was J.B. Bearden, which is from Richmond, Mississippi. Now, this happened on the coast in Gulfport. Okay, so when they went to hook the sewage line back up and seen where it wasn't hooked, okay, I filed a lawsuit. Come to find out they hadn't hooked it back up. They caused the sewage to run all into these people's rooms and into the restaurant. It made me close and everything. So when I take him to trial, J.B. Bearden, for the civil suit, J.B. Bearden loses the civil suit. When he loses the civil suit, the judge ordered them to pay me like $9,000. When he ordered them to pay me the $9,000, he said, I don't think Mr. Johnson will appeal this, but he can appeal and get more because you already did admissions that you didn't hook him back up. J.B. Bearden, contractor, then stands up and tell the judge, so what? He only do nothing but sell drugs out of there, what the city of Gulfport said. And the city of Gulfport is the one told him not to hook it back up because they had been trying to close me down for years. Well, the city of Gulfport then got their notice of lawsuit from me for giving him the contract and for telling him not to hook my thing back up, my sewage line. So when I go down to the mayor's office and get him notice a lawsuit, because anytime you sue a municipality, you have to give them notice of claim. Now, I'm in the free world at this time. So when I give him notice of claim, actually Governor Phil Bryant was standing in the office at the time, and I think it kind of embarrassed him the way I came in and handed him notice of claim in front of the governor. Okay, the governor just shook his head and laughed and shook my hand. And the next week, the city of Gulfport Police Department came out to my property. And they framed my brother. Well, they didn't frame my brother. They actually got my brother to sell them some drugs. Okay? When they actually got him to sell them some drugs, a month later, instead of arresting my brother right there on the spot, a month later they came and picked me up and said I sold some drugs. And I know I wasn't selling no drugs, even though I have a history of selling drugs back in the days. I didn't sell drugs because I was running a good business. Okay, so when they take me down to the station and say that I sold some drugs, I'm telling them I hadn't sold no drugs. Well, anyway, when I get ready to go to court, before I go to court, I go see my lawyer. My lawyer look at the film, they give her discovery. She look at the film, and she say, this is not none of you. Her name was Don Stouts. Don Stouts say this is the wrong person, called the district attorney, which was Robert McCormick, which I sent a picture of. When she called Robert McCormick, he say, no, we know that's DJ. Robert McCormick had never met me in his life, and he hadn't even seen my brother, at least allegedly he had. Okay, so about a month into the case, Don Stouts quit the case. When she quit the case, I wound up hiring Michael Hester. When Michael Hester told me he'll charge me $5,000 to take the case, after he seen the video, he said, I'm not charging you no $5,000 for this. He said, I'm not going to charge you but $3,000. He said, man, that's a plain picture of your brother. Okay, he said, have your brother to come in. So when I bring my brother in to Mike Hester's office, my brother walk in, Michael Hester has the film playing when he walked in. And he said, that's me. And he said, you're right, it is you. And my brother said, well, can you call the district attorney and ask them what kind of deal they can give me for this charge? He said, because yes, that is me. That's not my brother. Michael Hester called Robert McCormick, the district attorney, say, Mr. McCormick, I have a man standing here named Daryl Johnson that admits this is him on this film and he's the one sold the drugs. He said, can you give him a good deal, plea deal? Robert McCormick said, I'm not interested in Daryl Johnson. We want DJ. So he said, this man standing here telling you that this is him and you still want to prosecute DJ? So my lawyer said, well, we'll get ready for trial. So we get ready for trial. On the Friday, before the week of the trial, Friday of March 2016, I was at my restaurant cooking. The lawyer came by the restaurant and told me that the district attorney, Matthew Burrell, and Robert McCormick wanted to see me at the courthouse. Yes. I went to the courthouse. When I went to the courthouse, I actually took Terry Johnson, Charles Johnson, Mamie Johnson, and one of my workers to the courthouse with me. They put me in a glass room and sat at this long table. The district attorney, Robert McCormick, and Matthew Burrell said, we made a mistake, Mr. Johnson. We now know this is not you on film. That is your brother, Terry. But we can't drop the charges on you because we know you're going to file a civil suit against us. What would you take? I said, I wouldn't take nothing less than a dismissal because I didn't do nothing. He said, we got to give you something because we indicted you, and we know it ain't none of you. We'll give you house arrest. I said, no, I'm not taking house arrest for something I ain't do because I like to take my kids out of town and stuff, and I didn't do it. I didn't do nothing. I'm out here living a prosperous life and voting and everything. So he said, think about it. So when me and the lawyer walked out, the lawyer said, think about it. I said, why would I think about something I didn't do? And they just told you they know I didn't do it. So when we go to trial, that Monday, the district attorney come to me again, will you please take a plea? I said, not for something I didn't do. Terry Johnson is going to testify to the truth that it's him on film. But before I went to court that morning, I picked Terry Johnson up and I turned my phone on record. And I asked Terry to be sure he wasn't going to back out at court. Did you sell those drugs to that lady? Terry said, yes, I did, man. But he didn't know he was being recorded. That's the only violation I did. He said, not only did I sell them to the drug store the 2 times they got you arrested for, He say, I sold him to her 3 other times. He said, hell, I sold him to her 5 times. And I say, what? He say, but I'm finna get up there and testify to the truth. So when we go in the courtroom, Judge Bourgeois find out that Terry finna testify, he get mad. Oh, I got to appoint Terry a lawyer. Now, the law says I got to appoint him a lawyer. No, you don't have to appoint him a lawyer. Let's see, you finna arrest him. So they appointed Terry a lawyer. Terry lawyer, Glenn Redfield, took Terry out in the hallway. Told him, when you get up there and take the stand, do not tell them that you are the one on that film. Daryl Johnson started arguing all the way in the courtroom with his lawyer. He said, I'm not finna sit here and let my brother go to prison for something I did. Okay, so when Terry take the stand, they play the film. They ask Terry, is this you on this film? Terry Johnson say, yes, that is me. They ask Terry Johnson again, is that you on the film? Terry say, that is me. They say, what you doing? Terry say, I'm trying to buy some sex from the girl. But Terry, he just didn't tell. He have a right not to testify against himself, incriminate himself on the charge. But he say, that is me, the person y'all saying selling the drugs on this film. Terry said it 10 times during court. Okay, my brother-in-law, which is, he's not really my brother-in-law. He's married to my stepsister. His name is Ernest Thompson. He's a captain of the sheriff department. Well, Ernest Thompson said, I'm going to come testify too, because that's not you. So when Ernest get ready to testify, Sheriff Troy Peterson tell him if he testify, he better not wear his uniform in the courtroom, and I'm asking you not to testify for Daryl Johnson. Ernest Thompson got up there, and he took the stand, and he told the judge, he said, that is not Daryl, that is his brother Terry on that film. And they were like, why you testify? He said, because I'm a Christian, and I'm telling the truth. So anyway, at the end of the trial, my brother and my sister, everybody got up there. The judge wouldn't let me have no more than 3 witnesses. He said, you're not allowed for 3 witnesses, which I never heard of. So my sister got up there to testify. She said, that is my other brother, Terry Johnson. Like he said, it is him. So Terry took the stand and stood by the film, and I stood by the film on a big old 60-inch screen TV. Terry Johnson said, if you don't believe that's me on that film, he said, you see that birthmark on my arm right there? He said, hear that birthmark right here? Look at that birthmark and look at the film. So they looked, and when the juror went back to deliberate, they sent a note out to the judge. And they were basically like, we can't find this man guilty for something he didn't do. Evidently, they didn't talk to the juror or something. The juror sent a note, which I had a note. The juror wanted to see what arm his birthmark was on and what side it was on, because they see the birthmark now. So, and it's a plain video in which I sent y'all a picture already. So the judge sent them a note back and say, I'm going to tell them no. They have all the evidence. They cannot see what arm his birthmark on. Me, I respected the judge ruling, because he said it's a law that once they see the evidence, you can't give no more after they go back to do their verdict. Well, I set my arm on the table and leaned against my lawyer, and we talking. The district attorney, Robert McCormick, says, Your Honor, he has his arm on the table where they could see his arm. And I say, I am in evidence. I can see. I don't have to put my head on the table. This is part of my identity, my arms. And the judge say, no, you put your arm up under the table right now and hide your arm. I say, but I'm on trial. I am in evidence. He say, put your, so my lawyer, which was Michael Hester, say, put your arm on the table. We got this warrant. So I put my arm under the table. Finally, the jury did finally come out with a verdict. When the jury come out, they say, the foreman of the jury, do you reach the verdict? The foreman said yes. The foreman had the bailiff for no, and they came back and they read the verdict. The foreman of the jury say, we, the jury, find Mr. Johnson guilty on count 1 and count 2. And I say, this is unbelievable. So the judge, he couldn't believe it himself. The judge said, no, I got to poll the jury behind this. So the judge polled the jury. When the judge polled the jury, he asked the first juror, is that your verdict? The juror said yes. He asked the second juror, is this your verdict? The juror said no. And so when the juror said no, he asked the juror again, is this your verdict? The juror said no, shook her head. It was a him, shook his head. Okay, so when I see what the judge is trying to do, I go into a referee. I go to custody. You know what I'm saying? You see this man is not saying guilty. So then he go to the next juror trying to push on through the thing. Say, is that your verdict? The juror refused to answer. Ask him again, is this your verdict? The juror sat there and refused to answer. So now there's two jurors that won't find me guilty. So they asked the rest of the jurors, okay, now you got two jurors that refuse to find me guilty. The sheriff of Harrison County, Troy Peterson, sat through my trial as if it was a murder trial or a big trial the whole time. And he saw these two jurors never found me guilty. So the judge dismissed the juror without a verdict. When a judge dismisses a juror without a verdict, it becomes a complete acquittal. Troy Peterson jumps up and runs to the front, grabs my arm and twists it behind my back and won't let me leave the court and pushes me in a holding cell, him and two more sheriffs. And I'm like, I've never been found guilty. But anyway, I don't have a transcript or nothing to show this at time. You got two jurors never found. You done let the juror go home. It's too late. It's an acquittal. But they got me in a holding tank and won't let me go. So I go to prison. When I go to prison, I file a notice of appeal. You know what I'm saying? But I know I don't have to appeal a case that I was acquitted on. When I file a notice of appeal, one day, the lawyer come write me talking about he my lawyer. And I said, I ain't asked nobody for no lawyer. I don't need a lawyer. I got over $1 million worth of property. I could pay for a lawyer if I want a lawyer. The lawyer said, man, let me work on this case. I'm like, you can do what you want to do, but I'm not telling you to work on no case. So anyway, he sent me, I had filed a notice of appeal myself and sent for the transcript and stuff. Because I know all I need is the transcript to show this judge I've never been convicted. So the judge then won't give me the transcript. So the lawyer write me and say, I got the transcript. So I told him to send it to me. His name was Akins. Anyway, he sent me a copy of the transcript. When he sent a copy of the transcript, there it is right there in black and white. The two jurors refused to find me guilty. So, and I looked for the part where my brother say, here's my birthmark right here on my arm. It's not in there. Then I see another police entire testimony missing. I filed what you call a 10E to the Court of Appeals. When I filed a Rule 10E to the Court of Appeals, the Court of Appeals granted my motion and reversed and remanded me back down on court order to Harrison County Circuit Court. So when I got back on court order to Harrison County Circuit Court, when I walked in the courtroom, the judge started laughing. Oh, you finally made it back. I said, yeah. He said, well, you tried one time, they denied it. You tried two, they denied it. No, I see you down here now. I say, is that something to talk about? I say, they granted it in part in both times, and last time they reversed and remanded me down here. Okay, you ready to have this hearing? I say, no, because I have to have all the witnesses back here to show that this is not the testimony that's in this transcript. And no, he says the Court of Appeals told me we had to have this hearing within 30 days. I say, yeah, but you brought me down here on the 29th day. I say, I have a right to due process and have these witnesses here. So he say, let me call the Supreme Court. He called somebody and he come back. He said, okay, we're going to give you 15 days to get the witnesses. So when I subpoena the witnesses and come back to the hearing, some of the witnesses don't show. So anyway, the judge give me about 15 more days because the lawyer didn't come back down there. This lawyer that I'm talking about came down there. Well, when that lawyer came back, he like, you shouldn't even have this hearing. I say, man, I don't need you. I filed this myself. So I say, Judge, my witnesses are not here. He say, what? I say, where are my witnesses? He say, I'm not in charge of your witnesses. And I know by studying law, I had been studying law the last time I was in prison. I say, Judge, can I see your file on your desk? I got a right to see your file on your desk. And he jumped up and got mad. He said, yeah, you take it. So when I get the file, the judge let me see the file. He got 3 sticky notes in there telling the clerk of Harrison County Circuit Court, do not subpoena his witness. And I said, Judge, you got a sticky note right here. Don't subpoena my witness. Do you want to have this hearing or what? I'm going to deny it. That's what I'm going to do. I said, Judge, they told you to give me a hearing. He said, you better call the witness. The only witness there was my sister because they didn't subpoena my witness because he hid the subpoenas. Anyway, when I put my sister on and she did her testimony. I asked her about the part about making him put my arm under the table. And she said, well, being she was a witness, she was out of the courtroom when it happened. But she had heard about it. Well, anyway, he said, now, I'm finna deny this more. I said, Judge, another thing is that I was never convicted. I said, and that was basically what I needed to get back down here. I said, I'm finna show you. When I showed him the transcript, I said, here go 2 jurors refused to convict me. That's a complete acquittal because you let them go home. The judge looked at me and he said, so what? I say, so what? He said, you showed your ass in this courtroom. Judge, you got a right to hit me with contempt of court or whatever you want to hit me, but I was never convicted of that. If you sent me to prison, I say, and they grabbed me and threw me in the hole and said, that is kidnap. I don't care what you say. You was unconvicted. I say, what do it say right here in black and white? You know what I'm saying? So he denied the hearing and sent me back to the penitentiary. When he sent me back to prison, I filed a lawsuit while I was down on court order. I filed a lawsuit while I was on court order, telling that they kidnapped me and I was never convicted. The first judge denied it, saying I had to file in a different form because the way I had filed it, I had to be on a bigger court. Transferred it to circuit court, the lawsuit, the judge ordered the city of Gulfport to show up because they are the ones that framed me. And they're the one that worked with the mayor of Gulfport to have me arrested for without giving them notice of claim. Well, Aaron Ford actually told me that the mayor the one sent them out there to frame me, so I had them all in the lawsuit. So Judge Smith took the lawsuit and made them all become served they summons. When all of them got served they summons, we get ready for a hearing in circuit court, which is a preliminary injunction saying that you got me in prison and I'm not a state inmate. I was never convicted. The city of Gulfport, Jeffrey Brunis, which is their attorney, agreed to this hearing. When he agreed to the hearing, he go to the circuit court and remove this case out the state circuit court to the federal court. When he removed it to federal court, he asked the federal court to give Judge Bourgeois a trial on the kidnapping because I had put kidnapping in there. He asked for a trial in federal court. Now, the thing was that Judge Gargiulio was the judge that it went before in the federal court, which used to be a circuit court judge in Harrison County with Judge Bourgeois. Mm-hmm. And once I looked it up on the internet and I wrote him a letter and told him I don't think he should be on the case, well, 2 days later, he died, Judge Gargiulio. After Judge Gargiulio died, they put Judge Robert Walker back in the federal court, which was used to be a judge in circuit court now. Now, the federal civil case is pending in the Southern District of Gulfport, Mississippi, now federal court, waiting for a ruling, and Judge Bourgeois is asking for immunity. Now, I have a video of my brother when he commits the crime, which is a plain video. I have an audio of my brother confessing. I have the lawyer that testified. He actually testified that the DAs knew I didn't commit this crime, and nobody has tried to do nothing about it.